Improvement is not loud. It's not posted. It's not performed. It is forged. Everyone wants to be seen, applauded, followed. But the real ones disappear for a season. They vanish from the noise, from the parties, from the meaningless obligations. And they go to work, not on their job, on themselves. You see, most people want to look improved. They want the praise, the validation, the approval, but they don't want to live through the pruning. But you, if you've got the hunger to get better, every single day, you've got to understand that the first step isn't action, it's disappearance. You've got to stop explaining yourself to people who aren't building anything. You've got to stop negotiating your standards just to feel accepted. And you've got to get to a place where solitude becomes your sanctuary, not your sentence. Now hear me. This is where most people quit, because the silence starts to expose all the noise they've been using to avoid themselves. The phone goes off, the crowd fades, and suddenly they're left face to face with the one person they've been running from, themselves. That's where the work begins. Not when you start the business, not when you post the quote, but when you sit with your pain, your habits, your doubts, and choose to upgrade anyway. Disappearance is not about hiding. It's about preparation. It's about going underground so your roots can grow deep. You don't want to be a tree with wide branches and shallow roots. One storm hits, and you're gone. You want to be unshakable, and the only way to get there is in the dark. Every day you delay this, every day you avoid solitude, you trade transformation for applause. You trade mastery for mediocrity. And let me tell you, nobody claps for the foundation, but the whole house falls if it's weak. So stop asking the world to make it easier. Ask yourself to make it stronger, because the burden isn't going away. But you can change. You don't improve by wishing. You improve by deciding. Improvement begins the moment you say, I refuse to live like this another day. That's when the fire starts. Not in your circumstances, but in your soul. And hear this. If you don't burn the bridge to average, you'll always find a way to crawl back to it when life gets uncomfortable. You'll keep one foot in progress and the other in the excuses that kept you small. Average is a silent thief. It doesn't storm in and take everything at once. No, it's subtle. It shows up as just this once, as I'll start Monday, as at least I'm doing more than most. And before you know it, you've spent another year circling the same problems, repeating the same days, calling survival success. That's not improvement. That's stagnation in disguise. So how do you begin the path of daily improvement? You burn the bridge to average. You make it non-negotiable. You make it personal. You say, I will no longer allow myself to live in patterns that drain me. I'm done being half alive in a life that demands my whole self. This isn't motivation. This is a declaration. And once it's made, everything changes. Let me tell you, nothing works until you take responsibility. Not the plan, not the strategy, not the coach. The responsibility is the soil where growth is planted. Because when you own your life fully, you own your power to change it. And if you don't feel powerful, it's because you've handed pieces of that responsibility away. You've blamed, postponed, settled, and that mindset is the breeding ground of average. I remember a time in my own life when I had to do exactly that. Burn the bridge. I was living too casually, trying to please too many people, chasing too many paths. And one day it just hit me. This isn't who I'm meant to be. So I cut the noise, I got serious. I built a schedule that served my future, not my feelings. I said no to anything that didn't align with growth. And that bridge to my old self, I didn't just burn it, I lit it with purpose. Don't flirt with improvement. Marry it. Commit to it like your life depends on it, because it does. Growth doesn't come to the lukewarm. It comes to the decisive, the person who says, I will get better today, even if no one sees it, even if it's messy, even if it's slow, but I will get better. You want to improve every day? Start with this decision. Average is no longer welcome in your life. Then build your habits, your choices, your circle, and your environment around that one truth. Because the bridge is gone, and there's only forward now. Sometimes the best way to move forward is to disappear. Not from your responsibilities, not from your purpose, but from the noise. The world today is addicted to attention. People don't want to build, they want to be seen building. But here's the truth most won't tell you. Transformation requires isolation. If you want focus, if you want mastery, you've got to leave the party of distraction. You don't need more opinions. You don't need more likes. You need silence. You need solitude. You need to be alone long enough to hear your own voice again. Because until you do that, the world will keep handing you an identity that doesn't belong to you. And every time you scroll past someone else's success, you'll start questioning your own journey. That's not clarity, that's noise. I remember saying often, don't join an easy crowd. Why? Because the easy crowd lets you relax. It applauds your minimums. It celebrates survival. Invite because your priorities matter more than another evening of small talk. That's where focus is built. That's where character is forged. So leave the party. Walk out of the room where gossip is the currency and excuses are the culture. Find a room where people don't care how you feel, they care if you finish. Get around those who challenge your thinking, demand your best, and hold you to a higher standard than you hold yourself. That's not harsh. That's love in its highest form. Now, disappearing doesn't mean isolating forever. It means retreating with purpose. It means stepping back to realign your life with your vision. It's not about being antisocial. It's about being intentional. When the world pulls at your attention like 1,000 hands, you've got to choose who gets access. And most of the time, the right answer is fewer people, not more. Most people think transformation is a moment, a breakthrough, a lightning bolt from the sky. But that's not how it works. Not in the real world. In the real world, success is the result of doing the small things consistently, over time, without applause, without shortcuts. That's the principle of slight edge living. You don't have to be twice as smart or 10 times more talented. You just have to do a little more every single day. Read 10 pages of a good book. Do one more rep when your body wants to quit. Make one more phone call. Think one more intentional thought. Most people stop at average, not because they can't go further, but because they never develop the habit of going just one more step. That one more is where the miracle happens. Success, I used to say, is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day, not once in a while, not when it's convenient, every day. You do that, and you'll separate yourself from the masses faster than you ever imagined. Because most people aren't consistent. They're intense on Monday. Then they fall apart by Wednesday. They wait for motivation instead of developing discipline. Let me tell you, discipline isn't a feeling, it's a choice. And when you make that choice daily, even in the smallest ways, you start building something powerful, momentum. That's how character is formed. That's how confidence is earned. Not by doing something once in a big dramatic moment, but by stacking small wins over time until they become your identity. I remember when I started reading just 10 pages a day. Doesn't sound like much, does it? But that's 300 pages a month, a full book. In a year, that's 12 new philosophies, 12 new mentors, 12 new mindsets, just from 10 pages a day. It's not magic, it's math. And that's the power of compounding effort. You want to build a better version of yourself? Then start acting like it in the detail. Eat with intention. Speak with purpose. Wake up with a plan. Not perfectly, just better than yesterday. That's the goal. You keep stacking those small bricks, and one day you'll look around and realize you built a fortress where others just built sandcastles. You don't need to leap, just step. Step again, step with purpose. And one day you'll wake up in a place others only dream of. Not because you got lucky, but because you showed up when they didn't. The slight edge, small choices made daily. That's how you build a better you. Comfort feels good in the moment. It whispers, you've done enough. You deserve a break. Or take it easy. There's always tomorrow. But let me tell you something I've learned the hard way. Comfort is the most dangerous drug there is. It doesn't just keep you stuck. It convinces you that stuck is fine. That's the beginning of the end for anyone who has a dream in their heart. You want to kill your potential? Stay comfortable. Hit snooze. Scroll for hours. Eat what's convenient. Say later to your responsibilities. It won't ruin your life all at once. It's more subtle than that. It chips away at your fire, dulls your edge, until one day you look up and your dreams are dust while comfort has you by the throat. The antidote to comfort is hunger, and hunger isn't something you wait to feel, it's something you build. You build it by denying yourself what's easy and choosing what's meaningful. Every time you say no to fleeting pleasure and yes to purpose, you grow that hunger, that fire, that edge. Now, don't get me wrong. Pleasure has a place. Rest is important. But when comfort becomes your lifestyle, it becomes your prison. That's why I've always said what's easy to do is also easy not to do. It's easy to get up early and easy not to. Easy to read 10 pages and easy not to. Easy to say no to junk food or yes. And it's those tiny choices, repeated, that shape your destiny. I remember a time when I chose the easy route too often, and I paid for it. Not in dollars, but in dignity. I felt weak, undisciplined, average. That's when I realized if I want to feel alive again, I have to start living with purpose again. I had to trade my comfort for commitment, my distractions for discipline. And you know what? The moment I did, everything started to change. Discipline is a strange thing. It hurts at first, but it heals in the long run. Comfort does the opposite. It feels good today, but it costs you tomorrow. So choose what builds you, not what soothes you. Choose the run, not the net. The book, not the binge. The work, not the excuse. Build that hunger for something more, something real. Because once you replace comfort with purpose, something incredible happens. You stop living for the moment, and you start living for the mission. You stop chasing feeling good, and you start chasing becoming great. And that's when the transformation begins. Let me tell you, your life will never rise higher than your thinking. That's the foundation. That's the root. You can change your clothes, your job, your location, but if you don't change your thoughts, you'll just repeat the same patterns in a new setting. It all begins in the mind. See, most people are careless with their thoughts. They let anyone speak into their life. They consume everything, the gossip, the junk, the mindless chatter, and then they wonder why their life feels scattered, unfocused, and average. The answer is simple. They've left the gate wide open. No guard, no filter, no discipline. If you want to improve your life every single day, you've got to guard the gate of your mind. Like it's your most valuable treasure, because it is. Whatever gets in eventually comes out. It shapes how you see the world. It shapes how you treat people. It shapes what you expect for yourself. And expectations are powerful. They're self-fulfilling. Your thoughts become your philosophy. Your philosophy becomes your daily habits. And your daily habits become your results. That's the chain. That's the process. So if you want better results, don't start with your schedule. Start with your thinking. Ask yourself, what am I feeding my mind with daily? Now, I've always believed that you should read something classic, something deep. Don't just read the easy stuff, that's entertainment. But growth happens when you stretch your thinking. Pick up something that challenges you, something that forces you to wrestle with ideas. Don't just scroll through fluff. Study substance. I remember reading books that I didn't even fully understand at first, but I stayed with them. I underlined, I took notes, I sat in silence and thought. And you know what happened? My mind started to sharpen. My decisions got clearer. My words carried more weight. Why? Because my thinking had matured. Reflection is part of this too. Don't just absorb, process. After you read, think. Sit still. Ask yourself how it applies. Ask yourself how it changes the way you view your work, your relationships, your future. This habit of deep thought is a lost art, but it's the difference between a shallow life and a meaningful one. Here's what I know. The world will try to put garbage in your mind every single day. You got to fight back. You've got to choose your influences. You've got to build a mind that can carry the weight of success, not just chase it, but hold it once it arrives. If you're serious about getting better every day, about becoming someone you barely recognize in a year, then you've got to stop depending on moods and start building methods. Improvement isn't a feeling, it's a system. And systems don't care if you're tired, discouraged, or unmotivated. They just work. But only if you work them. See, too many people wait to feel inspired. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect energy, the perfect environment. And while they wait, someone else, with a plan, with a rhythm, with a daily system, is passing them by. Not because they're more talented, but because they've built something that demands their growth whether they feel like it or not. Let me give it to you straight. Habits are the soil in which your future grows. If you plant weeds, distraction, laziness, excuses, you'll reap mediocrity. But if you plant disciplines, journaling, planning, studying, taking action, you'll start to see fruit. And here's the beauty. You don't need to do it all at once. You just need a few right habits done consistently. For me, journaling was one of the anchors. Every day, I take time to reflect. What did I do well? What needs correction? Where did I waste time? Who did I become today? That kind of self-awareness keeps you honest. It keeps you growing, even when the results aren't obvious yet. Planning was another. If you wake up without a plan, you're already behind. The day will run you instead of you running the day. So I made it a ritual. Every night, review the day, plan the next. Even just writing out the top 3 priorities gives your mind a mission. It removes confusion and builds momentum. Reading, non-negotiable. 10 pages a day may not sound like much, but that's 3,650 pages a year. That's dozens of books. That's a new mindset, a new language, a new standard. You're programming your brain while the rest of the world is scrolling theirs into oblivion. And execution, taking action, is where it all comes together. No habit matters if it doesn't lead to action. That's why I always say, motivation gets you started. Habit keeps you going. Build routines that move you forward no matter your mood. Because let me tell you, your feelings are liars. Your method is the truth. Don't complicate it. Build a simple system. Wake up. Review your goals. Read something good. Reflect, plan, then take action. And repeat. Do it every day. Even on the days you don't feel like it. Especially on those days, because that's when the muscle is built. That's when discipline is born. If you want a different life, you need different habits. You don't need more inspiration, you need more structure. Build the habits that demand growth, and they'll take you further than passion ever could. If you want to grow, really grow, you can't keep shrinking to fit places you've outgrown. And here's the key. You don't have to make a big announcement. You don't need to criticize, cut off, or confront everyone. Just elevate. The people who no longer match your standard will fall away without a word. And the ones who are growing, they'll rise with you. See, one of the greatest secrets of personal transformation is this. You outgrow weak circles by raising your own standard, not by trying to fix theirs. It's tempting to try to drag people with you, but growth isn't a group sport. It's an individual decision. So if the people around you aren't committed to progress, to discipline, to excellence, you don't need to judge them. Just choose differently, choose better, choose higher. I remember when I started to change my philosophy, my habits shifted, my priorities changed, and slowly, without trying, I noticed something. My circle changed too. Not because I told people off, but because when you stop gossiping, the gossipers stop calling. When you stop wasting time, the time wasters drift away. When you start rising early to read, to plan, to improve, and you start attracting the ones who live for comfort, not calling. That's why I always say, let your routine do the talking. Don't argue, don't explain, just show up to your life with excellence. The right people will notice. The wrong ones will remove themselves. And it won't be dramatic. It'll be natural. Because standards speak loudest in silence. You want to change your circle? Start with yourself. Read better books. Have deeper conversation. Do harder things. Demand more from your minutes. And slowly you'll attract those who do the same. You'll stop bonding over complaints and start connecting through commitment. That's real growth. And yes, it's lonely at first. Because not everyone wants to rise. Not everyone wants to sacrifice. But if you stay consistent, if you keep your standard high, even when no one's watching, you'll become the kind of person that winners want to be around. You don't have to beg for better relationships. Just become someone who makes mediocrity uncomfortable. By others who chose growth too. Let's get something clear. When you disappear to work on yourself, you're not retreating, you're repositioning. You're not hiding, you're building. But here's where most people miss it. They want applause during the process. They want validation before transformation. But real growth doesn't come with cheering. It comes with silence, sweat, and serious effort. You don't need an audience to improve. You need a reason. A reason that burns hot enough to keep you going when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when nobody even knows what you're building. And that's where you discover the secret. Your reward isn't recognition. It's results. It's looking in the mirror and seeing a body that speaks of discipline. It's opening your notebook and finding ideas worth executing. It's watching your bank account reflect not just what you earned, but who you became to earn it. I used to think I needed encouragement to stay motivated. I used to wait for someone to notice my effort. But I learned your best work is often done in secret, and it's not because you're trying to hide. It's because real builders don't perform, they produce. They don't post about every rep, every book, every meeting. They just keep stacking bricks until the structure speaks for itself. You want to stay hungry while you're in solitude? Stop feeding on applause. Feed on your own results. Set goals that matter to you. Track your own progress. Be your own coach. Push yourself, be your own critic. Evaluate honestly. Be your own fan. Celebrate the fact that you didn't quit today. That's where power is born. And let me tell you, when you learn to reward yourself with results, you become unstoppable because applause fades, opinions change. But the life you built, that's permanent. That's proof. And once you taste what it feels like to win privately, you'll never need public approval again. So yes, disappear for a while, go underground, work like your future depends on it, because it does. Then come back, not with a speech, not with a selfie, come back with results that speak louder than applause ever could. If you want to become unrecognizable in a year, physically, mentally, spiritually, you need to adopt the mindset that doesn't seek validation. People don't need to know your goals, they need to see the results. The key to transformation is not in talking about what you're going to do. It's in doing it, in living it, in becoming it. You can't change by hoping things will be different. Change comes through action. And action, when done consistently, will carve out a new version of you. One that doesn't look or think the same as the person who started this journey. When you set out to improve, you don't need to announce it to the world. You don't need to shout from the rooftops, proclaiming your intentions. Instead, you need to keep your goals silent and your work loud. So the question is, what are you willing to sacrifice to get the results you want? Are you willing to put in the work when no one is watching? Are you willing to face discomfort, doubt, and frustration while others sleep, while others take breaks, while others enjoy the moment? If you want to become unrecognizable, you need to make your actions so solid, so relentless, that by the end of a year, no one could even imagine that you were ever the same person. Here's where most people miss it. They get caught up in performing and showing off and talking about the grind. But you don't need to perform for anyone else. You need to perform for yourself. Your results are the only audience that matters. So, shut out the distractions and put your energy into transformation. Keep moving forward quietly, persistently, until that person who was once you is just a distant memory. In my life, I've seen this truth play out time and again. I've seen people talk about their goals, dream about success, and yet never truly put in the work. They like the idea of transformation, but they don't like the sacrifices that come with it. But you have to be willing to burn the bridges to your old self and embrace a new way of living. That's how you outgrow the person you were. That's how you create a new identity, by letting go of the old one, piece by piece. Success isn't about making noise. It's about becoming something so solid, so relentless, that the world has no choice but to notice. Let me tell you, the person who keeps grinding in silence, who keeps pushing through the obstacles and setbacks without seeking applause, is the person who will achieve the unimaginable. While others are too busy discussing their plans, you will be too busy executing yours. There's power in quiet growth. When you're in the trenches working on yourself, no one can see the progress, but you will feel it. You feel yourself getting stronger, more disciplined, and more focused. And then, after months of putting in the work, the world will start to notice, not because you ask for attention, but because you've transformed into someone worth noticing. This is how you become unrecognizable. You need to be obsessed with your vision, not obsessed with fame, not obsessed with the applause, not obsessed with validation, but obsessed with your own growth, your own transformation. The quiet, consistent work that no one sees will build you into a version of yourself that no one could have predicted. The process is the secret. The dedication, the late nights, the moments of doubt and fear, they are all part of the process that will make you into someone entirely different. People may ask, how did you do it? But the answer isn't a 5-step process or a catchy slogan. Answer is simple. You did it by focusing every ounce of your energy on becoming the best version of yourself. You didn't stop. You didn't slow down. You didn't let anyone or anything distract you. You stayed quiet. You stayed moving. You stayed obsessed. Now, you have to keep the momentum going. A lot of people start strong, they get excited, they're full of energy and passion at the beginning of the year, but they forget one critical thing. Transformation isn't a one-time event. It's a daily process. It's the grind of the mundane. It's doing the small things every day that add up to the big things over time. And that's what makes the difference between the people who succeed and the people who fade away. A year from now, if you're committed to transformation, you will not be the same person. Your body will be different, your mindset will be different, your relationships will be different, your success will be different. But the key to getting there isn't in rushing toward the destination, it's in embracing the journey. Every single day, you must decide to be better than you were the day before. You must make the decision to show up, even when it's hard. You must choose to become obsessed with progress, not perfection. At some point, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. You won't even recognize the person you used to be. And that's when you'll truly understand the power of quiet, consistent transformation. That's when you'll know that success is something you attract by the person you become. You have the ability to change your life, but it starts with a decision to outgrow your former self. It starts with a decision to do the work, to stay silent about your goals, and to let your actions speak louder than your words. So burn the bridges to average, embrace the discomfort, keep moving, stay obsessed, and transform into someone unrecognizable. The world doesn't need another talker, it needs a doer. It needs someone who is willing to show up day after day and quietly change their life. That's how you become unrecognizable. And that's how you become unstoppable.